time for the Straight Up Wrestling Show.
What's up, everybody? It's your man Christopher Burton, the People's Podcaster here.
Oh, let me take that off the bat. Go
my
ahead.
man HBT.
What's going on, everybody?
And welcome to another episode of the Straight Up Wrestling Show, guys. Hey, guys. Want to welcome you in, but today is not a joyous occasion, unfortunately, man. This is more of a unfortunate memorial. A memorial show, if you will, of our friend and brother Chris Thunder Anderson. Chris, unfortunately, passed yesterday. One thing I definitely do know, man, here at the Straight Up Wrestling Show, our thoughts and prayers are definitely with his family at this time. His wife Missy, his 3 kids, and the whole Anderson family as a whole. Chris is he was a presence in that locker room. And if you know what I mean by presence, I mean he was around a individual, knew that you were around somebody that was larger than life in the professional wrestling world. And I see some of our viewers coming in. Good morning, Zach. Good morning, Wanda. But Chris, you like I said, you knew that when you were around him, you knew you were around greatness. You were around somebody who commanded respect. And Chris, he was an opposing figure when you first got to see him. He was a very opposing figure. You're like, ooh, okay, this guy, I don't know if I can approach this guy too quick. But once you actually got to know him, Chris was a big teddy bear. He was a family man. He was a very generous man and knowledgeable on the things of wrestling and knowledgeable on things in life. He was a God-fearing man, first and foremost. He was a God-fearing man. Every Sunday, he was taking his family to church. He was a hard worker. He provided for his family. He was an old school, no nonsense kind of guy where he's like, hey, I'm the breadwinner. I'm going to take care of my family. I'm out there. That's what you got to deal with me. He was that kind of guy. And his legacy and his memories for all that ever encountered him or had any dealings with him will never be forgotten. Never at all, man. He was one of a kind. He was. I mean, I hate to say it, but this is a cliche that's been used before. He's the last of one of the Mohicans, if you will. Chris was just one of those guys that just, like I said, when you saw him, you knew somebody that, okay, this guy, he's all about business, man. And if he talked to you, he came across a certain way, but because he wanted certain things done a certain way, because he's done it to me. He's done it to me a time or two, and I'll cherish those moments and I'll cherish those memories, and those jewels that he imparted on me. And I thanked him for it, and I was like, okay, I see where you're coming from. Even though his delivery can be harsh and brash sometimes, but you understood the message of what he was trying to say and what he was trying to do. So yeah, those are my memories of Chris Thunder Anderson, man. What about you, Harry?
Man, yeah, Chris, the first time I saw Chris, I think it was the second week that you was there, or was it the third week? A third week that you went out to APW, and before that, I hadn't watched wrestling in a long time, man, which I grew up a huge wrestling fan. You know that, me and you, when we first met, that's basically that's all we talked about with our friends and everything. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I hadn't watched wrestling basically in a long time on a consistent basis, put it that way, from 2002 until 2021. Every now and then I would turn on and watch wrestling, but I was just a casual fan that just waned by the wayside, and saw what Chris did, because Chris, anytime that wrestling came to the Carolinas, Chris will buy a ticket and come pick me up or whatever, ask me go with him or whatever. So I definitely did that, but really didn't watch wrestling, didn't really enjoy wrestling too much. And Chris started going out to APW up in Boiling Springs, which is called EPW now, but he started going out to EPW, met up with another one of our friends, man, who has passed, a very dear friend, Danny Paris.
Danny Paris.
He started doing commentary with Danny Paris. And I think I went out when he went out that 1 week, and then he went out, I think, the second week, and then the third week, he already had invited me like the second week. I didn't go, but the third week I decided to go out there with him. And Chris was not on that show. But that first show I saw was really good, and I enjoyed some of the wrestlers. But the next week that I went out there, they had a bigger card that week, and you had Chad
Cope.
Chad Cope. Chad Cope had a match coming up, and Chad Cope, he had a mystery partner. And he got on the mic and he was talking about, hey, I decided to go and get a big brother, go and get somebody, to come and take care of this mess that's going on. And he brought out Chris Thunder Anderson, man. And I was, when I first saw him, I was amazed at, his stature and the way he looked, because, like I said, the week before I had went and, was seeing a lot of these wrestlers that was there. They didn't look like, not all of them looked like the wrestlers that I grew up watching, in the Mid-Atlantic Championship area, WCW, WWF. They didn't look like that. But Chris Thunder Anderson, and, back then, Chris, what I'm talking about, it was all about, big guys, not everybody was big, but it was big guys. It was guys that, like you said, bigger than life, that just pretty much that caught your attention, and you focus on that person. But he came out and he caught my attention, and I was just like, wow, it was amazing, his stature, and he just looked like one of those old school guys that just beat the hell out of you, man. It came off that way. And saw him, he got in the ring, and his performance was just outstanding. I'm like, man, this dude, he reminds me of he reminds me of Ole Anderson, Stan Hansen, Lars Anderson, one of those guys. He was in that mold. Even Arn, he was bigger guy than Arn, but basically in that same mold, and he was just outstanding. He was an outstanding tag team partner, and I was like, I'm glad that Chad brought me out to that show. I mean, I'm glad that you brought me out to that show. I'm glad Chad brought him in as his tag team partner, because that right there changed my mind and had me going out with you week in and week out. Then we went and saw him at HWA, which I didn't get to talk to him then at that show, which I started, meeting some wrestlers because of you and Danny. And, we went up to HWA in North Carolina, and, we got to we were actually out there interviewing some of the wrestlers, and we interviewed Chris Thunder Anderson, which he grabbed me by my collar, man. And remember, that's when he said he hit those hands that crippled people. So basically, man, he was very impressive. And at that time, I didn't know if this guy was, if he was mean like that or whatever, mean, evil, nasty that he used to have on a shirt. I'm just like, who is this dude? And I'm like, hey, maybe I said the wrong thing. But man, he's straight up on his interview, and the way he gave the interview is just like old school, intimidating, the way a wrestler should be. But then, like I say, you get to know this guy, man. He sat down, he spit game to me and Chris, talked about his career and talked about basically the industry and coming up, as an indie wrestler, going all over the place. But yes, he knows this stuff, and we realize how great of a person this guy was. I mean, he was serious, he was serious with everything that he was saying. But we at that first time that we saw, we really didn't get the side of that. Hey, this guy's a really great guy. Now, Missy, it was great. I think that's when we first had met Missy, and we met Larissa and and Dylan and Luke. and you tell how great of a family that was.
Yeah, it's breaking
I
it
still-
out.
What's that?
Okay, there you go. Your internet was lagging.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's
Your
kind of
feed
messing
was
me up.
lagging, but you're good now.
Okay, good. But yeah, we didn't really know, like when we first met, we met up with them and we met Chris, we met Missy, Luke, and Dylan. Couldn't really get a gauge on Chris that much, but really couldn't. I was like, is this guy is he the same person in that ring that he is outside the ring? I knew he wasn't with his family, but I'm like, okay, I'm sitting there, we talking, and I'm talking to his family, but great family. And then as time went on, just weeks after that, man, we talking to Chris on the phone. We seeing Chris at other venues at APW. Then His Pro Wrestling came up. We was going out to Rutherford, North Carolina, and we became real good friends with this guy, man. I mean, great, outstanding guy. And like Chris said, he's a Christian man, he's a family man, but he definitely straight up, man. That's one, he defines the word straight up. He's 100% real straight shooter, and he has helped so many people in this industry. But we pumped him out there, man. We talked about Chris when we first started. We talked about him so much, and he was the first person that we did a statistical analysis on, man. And he had an A plus. And even in his older age, I mean, he was 48, I think 48, 49 when we first did that. And, unfortunately, he just passed away at 52 years old. But, man, he's a great, outstanding guy. And, man, I haven't met anybody better in this business, man, outside of my man Chris and Danny Paris. I mean, the closest people I've been to as far as in this business since we've been doing Straight Up Wrestling Show is Chris, Chris, Danny Paris, and then Chris Thunder. I talked to him more than just about anybody else besides Christopher Burton and Danny Paris. I mean, me and Chris, we had our little thing, man, where, we pretty much didn't talk to each other for a while. I mean, it happens in this business, it was a little dust up or whatever, but everything like that was resolved and all that. But like I say, a great, outstanding person. And we appreciate everybody, man. It's a lot of people, a lot of wrestlers, a lot of fans who have put out some great things about Chris Thunder Anderson, and we appreciate all of that. Man. Let's go ahead and get to the comments, Chris.
Yeah, and he definitely helped out, like you said, a lot of people, man. If we named all the people he helped, man, we'd be here all day, man. But unfortunately, I can't be here all day. But he would be. He helped out a lot of people, man, in and out of the ring. Brian Bullett's in the building, man. He's Brian Bullitt. Welcome, man. He said he would help anybody out. He would, man.
Yes, he would. Yes.
Man. He would help anybody else.
And his whole family. I mean, they will hold a fundraiser. They would, they raise money at shows. They did everything they could, and everything they could for anybody.
Anything you ask of them, man, they would be willing to do.
Yeah, they would. True family in wrestling.
Alma Clark's in the building, man. Says, "What's up, Harry and Christopher?" Yeah. So, what's up, Christopher? How y'all doing this morning? I'm doing pretty good. Resting up some. So very sorry to hear about Chris Thunder Anderson. Present condolences to his family and friends. Thank you all.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Morning. And our man Brian Bullitt said he trained Mark Pruitt and Chris James. Yes, he did. Man. He did.
Lee, he told me let him know whenever everything gets set up and everything, so he can pretty much make sure he wants to make sure that he's going to be there. So Chris James. Yeah, definitely be looking out for you and let you know as soon as we hear about all the arrangements and everything.
Yeah, but guys, like I said, man, this isn't our typical show today, man. This is unfortunate. Like I really do mean unfortunate occasion. We had to be on here to just remember our friend, Chris Thunder Anderson, man. This man there's not enough words to describe what he has done in and out of this ring to help and put a mark on this business, man. Like you said, from APW to HWA to even
his pro wrestling, and then
his
lately
pro wrestling.
Let's see what's the name of that. Wrestling for Christ, Wrestling for Christ. And now in a lot of places in Tennessee. I mean,
even further than that, Harry.
Big time.
And even going back further than that, man, back to WCC, man.
Right,
man, with my man, I got trained with, man. So back in the day, so Brody Chase, man. So even going back that far, man, this man has made a mark. He has made a mark on this business that can never be erased, man. Exactly. And it's crazy, man, because we unfortunately have lost two major people in this business because just was a few weeks before.
No, it was a few days.
Whatever it was, we lost Johnny.
It was this week. It was in the same week.
Days. We lost another dear friend, Johnny Ziegler.
Yeah, Johnny Ziegler. Yes.
Johnny Z. So I'm like, wow, this is crazy, man. Because every time I see a picture of Johnny Z, he was somewhere chilling, had a drink in his hand on a beach, on a boat somewhere, living a good life, man.
All right.
And then I just happened to see the news, man, that he had passed, and I was like, wow, man, this is crazy. Because every time I would see him in the APW locker room, man, he was like, hey, what's up, man? You working today? I'm like, I'm always working. Are you working? Right. You never know. I'm like, okay. He would ask me all the time, are you working? I'm like, I'm always working, man. I'm always working the gimmick. Always, man. So, this has been a rough week for wrestling, man. It has been a extremely hard week for wrestling, and here in the Carolinas, and just in general, man, it's just been wow. So definitely, man, keep the Ziggler family in your prayers and the Andersons, man.
Amen.
So
I was about to call last night.
This is a hard pill to swallow, man. This one,
big time.
Yeah.
And the reason I couldn't come on for SmackDown. Chris was at work, and he was. It was something I was not expecting to hear yesterday. It completely messed me up. Completely blew me away, man. I was just not ready for it whatsoever. But unfortunately, here we are. Unfortunately, wow. Man. Harry, you still with me, man? Okay, Harry went black for a minute, guys. But hey, I wanna thank everybody that came in so far, man. We appreciate it. Lost Harry. We appreciate everybody coming in, checking in with us, guys. And I know, like I said, this is definitely not our usual podcast, our joyous moment. And I know we got wrestling coming on here at 1 o'clock, guys. WWE Crown Jewel. I know that's going to be happening today, but we'll put that on the back burner for right now. Like I said, we just want to remember our friend Chris Thunder Anderson, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
Yeah, now I can.
All right, I just got I got off my computer because it was lagging and everything. That's one thing I wanted to pretty much get straightened out before I got on, but I see that you already had went in. But last night I was gonna go on SmackDown, but I had heard this. This had happened, and I just was somber the whole time, and man, just basically wasn't in the mood to go on because of what had happened to Chris Thunder Anderson. This is somebody that we love, man. We love that family, and I just could not do it. I definitely couldn't do it. I will be on at 1 o'clock for what is that coming on at 1 o'clock, Chris, today? It's for the WWE's show.
Clash of Champions, man.
Clash of Champions.
Night of Champions. Clash of Champions.
Yeah, last night definitely couldn't do it. I mean, it just, it just was not. I was not into it. I wasn't in, wasn't in the mood to do that. Goodness sake! Wow. Yeah, you just. I don't even have. I don't have your. Well, now you're on screen, but yeah, my
and rightfully so, man. I understand.
Yeah, but yeah, last night was pretty rough. It really was. I still can't believe it happened, man.
But this is. Yeah, I can't believe it either, man. It's still just I don't know, man.
I see Black Rain 79 in the house. Thank you, Black Rain.
Still, but this is an unfortunate part of life.
Yes, it is.
You know things like this are gonna happen. Things like this will happen, but you're never prepared for it when it does happen. So it's just one of those, like I said, unfortunate things, man, that just happen in life, man. And it's I hate it, but it just unfortunately unfortunately is what it is. Yeah. Almost says had some bad thunderstorms yesterday afternoon, very high winds, monsoon rains, damaged the town almost 5 inches into a good Lord. I'm gonna be safe out there, man. That's rough, guys. Black Rain in the building says sorry about your loss. Sorry to hear that, fellas. All right, thank you, Black Rain. Thank you, man. All right. But guys, yeah, like I said, man, we're just on here to just, to remember Chris Thunder Anderson, man, and the man that he is, the man that he was, and just to, keep his thoughts in keep his family in our thoughts and prayers. It's it's just a hard thing, man.
It is. It really is.
Understand how do we get to this point, man?
Oh man,
so it.
Well, Chris, I'm gonna try to go back onto the computer, man, and give me just a second.
That's all. It's just so unreal, man.
Well, I want to read some of the comments that some of the wrestlers have. I took some screenshots of some of the wrestlers, so I definitely want to get back on the computer, be able to do that. So give me just a moment, okay? I'm switching from my phone.
Okay, man. Okay. But yeah, guys, like I said, thank y'all for coming in, man. We appreciate that. And I do wish this was a more joyous occasion, more of a celebratory thing. We could be talking about Clash of Champions, I wish, but unfortunately, we're talking about the passing of our dear friend Chris Thunder Anderson. This one hurts, man. It hurts. It hurts bad, but like I said, it's an unfortunate part of life that we all go through. But yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know Harry's back. Okay,
right.
There you go.
All right, man.
What's up, Harry? Welcome back.
Okay, so let me go ahead and see if I can get some of these comments. But yeah, I started screenshotting. It was just so many people. Man. I wish I would have did it a little bit earlier because it's just so many. But I'm definitely not gonna get to everybody that pretty much was chiming in yesterday on Chris's passing. But yeah, I do have some. Let's see who in the world said this. All right, Perry James, man. Perry James said, "Thank you, Chris Thunder Anderson, for the memory and the miles. You were a fierce and formidable presence in the ring, but outside of it, a kind-hearted and humble soul who left a lasting impression on everyone who had the privilege of knowing you. You will be deeply missed, but never forgotten. Rest easy, my friend." Let's see. All right, Rhonda Jenkins and Rhonda Jenkins and she said, with Paul Jenkins, and she reached out to Michelle Hall. She said, on behalf of EPW, we would like to express our deepest condolences to the family of Chris Thunder Anderson. He was loved and respected in the independent wrestling world. He will be missed. His memory will live on. Rest in peace, our dear friend. The Jay Eagle, our man Jay Eagle, who definitely know Chris and worked with Chris a lot.
Yeah,
it's been a hard week for me, losing 2 men in 1 week that I spent the last 25 years with, 2 guys from different ends of the Carolinas, men that will have outlived me for about 10 years. I love these guys like my brothers. I knew I was getting old, but because of losing people I love is the worst part. Chris, Johnny, Dash, Ronnie, Dale, Darren, Bill, Ethan, so many more. I seem to hate Goldbergs. Who's next? Sucks. I'm 71 and good for 15 more years. Love hurts. And he put this shirt, there with the wrestling ring in the middle. Love hurts, man. So, I have those 3. And let's see who else I got here. Somebody, my man Dale Vent. Let's see, somebody else. All right, Ryan Mantis. Okay, Ryan Mantis says, prayers for the Childers family and all of Chris Thunder Anderson's loved ones at this time. Chris was a great wrestler. He was the first person to make, let's say I might have to have that somewhere else. That was on mine that he had sent out. But he had Ryan Mantis said some great things. All right, Derek Vanderford said, I sure wished we took the picture. I sure wish that we take the picture what the heck? He said, I sure wish that we took the picture. Would have been something we did then. Chris Thunder Anderson let's just, that right there is unlegible. I can't read that. But he said, Chris Thunder Anderson and I were a team and we wrestled each other. Rest in peace, Thunder. He and I tagged against the likes of Ricky Morton and Tracy Smothers. And he gave me a black eye once, laugh out loud. And, and then he said prayers for Missy Childers, Dylan Childers, and Luke Childers, and, I guess Larissa too. He didn't put Larissa, but I'm sure he meant Larissa too and the whole family. Man, so, wow. Maybe let me see what else I got, if I got anybody else. All right. Man, Scott Larson, you still can hear me, Chris? Chris.
Yeah, I can still hear you, man. I literally got a lot going. Oh, shoot, what happened? Yeah, I got a lot going on upstairs, man. That's why I had you muted. But yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, but you can hear all of because I just wanted to make sure everything was getting through. So you can hear all the comments that I was talking about, right? Okay, cool. All right. Scott Larson said, getting ready to go to this, to get this MRI. And hey, all prayers to Scott Larson. This morning, Missy Childers, Luke Childers, Dylan Childers, Larissa Childers. I know today is the first day of many without Chris, but know this, your friends see you, love you, and will never let Chris be forgotten. I am wearing his shirt for the last time today. I am going to put it with my wrestling memorabilia, so I never forget my good friend. Evil, Mean, and Nasty was a gimmick, but those who knew Chris knows he has a heart of gold. He is with Jesus Christ now, pain-free and waiting for you. I love you guys. All right. So, all right. And Gene Perry said this morning, Chaz, be quiet. All right. Gene Perry said, I really wanted to post something earlier, but I have been trying to process and wrap my head around this. Rest in peace, Chris. Thank you for the great talks, your wisdom and insights that helped me to become better at what I do. You will be missed. So that's basically all I have for right now. It's so many others who have chimed in, who are on the indie wrestling scene. And Chris worked with a lot of greats, man, who have went on to work, for the big, work in the big time, work with WCW and work with WWE. He has worked with people, everybody. That's one thing he said, he achieved his dreams, his goals. He worked with everybody, that he wanted to work with in this business. So he definitely was able to achieve that. He has wrestled some greats, down to Ricky Morton, even Dusty Rhodes and all those people. Lex Luger, when they came down and wrestled in the Indies, Chris was there. So he's done some amazing things and has had great friends in this business. And some of the best people that we met in this business are very close with Chris, like Cruiser Lewis, Boomer Payne, and people like that, that we would have never met if it wasn't Chris Thunder Anderson. And he trained people like Chris James, and was there to help people at the beginning, like another, AJ Frost and Nick Fury and people like that. He was one of these guys that brought those guys up. But yeah, Chris Thunder Anderson, he's an amazing person, in and out of the ring, man. And I truly love this guy. And like I said, man, it's just it's just so unreal that he passed. I mean, he I'm older than him. I'm 6 years older than him, but we was born on the same day, January the 8th. I am 6 years older than him. And, I just look at it and I still feel, hey, I'm still pretty much young. I'm an old guy, but I'm young. Chris is younger than me. I mean, he's young and he just only a couple years older than Chris Burton. I mean, and it's just mind-boggling. You shake your head, and we all gotta watch it, man. When none of us are immortal, and hey, the most important thing is Chris. He knew the Lord. He knew the Lord God, and we know where he's going. We know where he's at. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know where he's at. He's wrestling with the Lord right now, man. And hey, there's no better way I can say it. And I know. I can say he's in a better place, no better place right now. But I know his family would love for him to be here right now, and we, us wrestling fans,
we definitely, we want him to be here, man.
Want him to be here, and that could be sometimes when I look at stuff like that, I see it as we're being selfish. Hey, the Lord wanted Chris. The Lord wanted Chris. But and he says, be thankful in the good times and the bad times. So we definitely got to be thankful. Be thankful for the time that we did know Chris and the time that we did get to see Chris and be around Chris. Definitely be thankful for that. But man, he's truly going to be missed. I'm going to think about him probably every day that I'm in, that I'm involved in wrestling. I will be thinking about him because believe me, he was always. When it comes to wrestling here, anytime me and Chris go to a indie wrestling show, especially here in the Carolinas, I think about Chris Thunder Anderson. And, hey, I wanted him down in Georgia. We tried to get him down in Georgia for some time. And Chris and Missy was planning on doing that, coming down, but never did get him down in Georgia. But man, this guy, to me, he's the definition of what a wrestler what a wrestler should be. He's definitely the definition of that. And he just
it's funny too.
For the Mohicans, man, really. Go ahead.
And it's funny too because there's been times I'd be in the back, Harry be in the crowd watching the show.
Yeah.
And I'm back there for about 15, 20 minutes or so or whatever. And I come back and I'm like, hey, Chris is back there. He's like, Thunder Anderson? I'm like, yeah. He's like, man, what's he doing? He's wrestling tonight. I'm like, nah, he ain't wrestling tonight. He's just hanging out with the boys. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna have to talk to him, man. I'm gonna have to talk to him. And after the show, we'll go back there and we'll talk to him and everything. And yeah, man, it's gonna be a hard pill to swallow, man. This is gonna be a hard pill to swallow.
And your wife called me last night and talked about him and everything. And then, she's very close with the family. And, she something that really touched her heart. But, man, it's
this is a tough one, man.
It's tough. And it's hard for me to believe. It's hard. I think it's going to be hard for me to see him, in a casket or whatever. And I know most of the funerals, I don't know exactly the way Missy's going to do it. The family's going to do it. But either way it go, going to a funeral of Chris Thunder Anderson, him not being here, oh man,
it's
a hard pill to swallow. Really is.
It is. It really is a hard pill to swallow, man. Like I said, I'm just still in shock about this whole situation, man. Because this is you're not just losing a friend, you're losing a brother, man. You're losing a comrade, you're losing an ally. It's it's somebody that you looked up to. He's a mentor, man.
Right.
It's just one of those things you just like, wow. And that's oh man.
It's crazy. But hey, I know this Saturday morning a lot of people are going to be doing things, but hey, if you on here, especially the ones on Facebook, hey, Chris Thunder Anderson, share this podcast, man. Share and continue to pray for the Childress family. Man, ask the Lord to look out for each and every one of them, touch them as they go through this unspeakable, a tragedy. When it boils down, we look at it as a tragedy, but believe me, in heaven they are rejoicing to get one of their saints, because Chris definitely was a saint. Hey, he definitely was one of the Lord's saints, and they are rejoicing in heaven. But here, we are grieving, and we are definitely grieving along with the Childress family. And I mean, it definitely hurt my heart. It really did. And to hear that he passed, and he went through a couple strokes, and I know he was type 2 diabetic. I am too. That's one thing about it. Being a lot of people are diabetic or pre-diabetic in the United States. That's just a fact. But that's one thing. And if something else comes up that and you have diabetes, that can pretty much bring you down really quick. And I've seen it happen with so many people. So, wow, I'm like, man, I hate that. And it's, we definitely got to look out for our health. And when it comes to health, if we have a chance to help other people, man, we definitely got to help other people, especially here in this wrestling community, because it's, I can't really say it's ignored or anything like that, even though wrestling is a athletic event. I mean, we have these wrestlers. Each one of these wrestlers have lives outside of this, and they have to do so many other things. They have to work. They have to do so many other things outside of this, because they're not making money. They're not making money like those guys up there in the WWE or AEW or whatever. They're not making that type of money. So, they're not seeing, there's not an on-site physician all the time, or somebody there that's going to monitor, whatever problems that you are having. But yeah, this was all of a sudden. And Chris, he wrestled all the way up to the end. I mean, he wrestled all the way up to the end. This is something that he loved to do. And man, he went out the way he wanted to go out. I'm pretty sure he went out the way he wanted to go out. Still a name in this business, very respected in this business. But I know he didn't want to leave his children, but the Lord wanted him, Chris. And unfortunately, we have to take the burden of seeing our friend being taken out of this world.
Yeah, that's, like I said, this is an unfortunate part of life. It's one of those things where it's going to happen, but you don't expect it to happen to you. But when it does happen,
right,
unfortunately, like I said, unfortunate part of life, you are never ready for it to happen, even though it will at some point.
Oh yes,
and it sucks. It really does suck. And this is one of those moments that it hurts and it sucks. There's no other way to say it.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
But I just, like I said, I just hope and pray, that everything, pray for the strength of his family, man. That's, just pray for the strength of his family.
Right.
Because this is going to be a hell of a hurdle. A hell of a hurdle to overcome.
Yes, it is. And yeah, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
And
but
this is just one of those things where you just can't be like, okay, a few months down the road, okay, he passed. Let's keep it moving. Nah, this ain't gonna be that easy. Some situations you can't get over that quick, but this is a lot different than most. Anytime a man or a woman loses their partner, child, whatever the case, family member, whatever the case may be, it hurts. Even for us on the outside looking in that aren't immediate family, it still hurts because we were close.
Right.
So if it hurts for us, you can only imagine the pain that family's actually feeling, what they're going through. Like I said, Chris was Papa Bear, man. Mm-hmm. He was the protector. He was the beyond you mess with my family. It's just a rough one, man.
Yeah. And yeah, they did everything. That family did everything together. So, man, like I said, my heart grieves for each and every one of them, each and every one of the children. That whole family. And, I'm praying for them. I'm praying for each and every one of Chris's loved ones. It's just, man, it's just something that we couldn't fathom. We thought we would be able to see Chris for a lot more years out here wrestling, mm-hmm. Taking care of his family, and able to see when his children who are training to be wrestlers. Larissa, I think Dylan, I'm not still training, but I think he was training too. And Luke is still in school, and man, Luke has a great future. All of them have a great future, but I was hoping that he was able to see when they got into the and watch them as they perform and go mm-hmm. on great things. But believe me, hey, Chris Thunder Anderson, he lives in the hearts, and the spirit in all of them. So he's still here, man. In spirit, he's still here with us. And hey, can't wait to see our brother once again, man. And mm-hmm. once again, when we're called up in the sky to meet our great Father in heaven too. Yeah. But I can't wait to see him again. Him, Danny Paris, Johnny Ziegler, all those guys, man. See those guys again, and so many others who have passed before them. Like wow, and yeah, it's just that kind of made me think, Chris. I was like, man, I don't know if I really want to be around this, but you can't really. You really can't get rid of, your friends. It's not like I'm going to go down my friends list and I'm going to delete everybody, all the wrestling, everybody that but I did have a little brief moment. It's like, wow, man, I'm going to continue to see things like this. And, guys that we became close to. But hey, it's mm-hmm. part of life. It really is. It's part of life. And you have to move ahead, but like I say, we don't forget the lessons that's been taught to us from people like Chris Thunder Anderson, who was full of wisdom, man, and he laid it out, and he gave to this industry more than what he got. He served people in this industry. He served other wrestlers, and he served the fans. He gave them what they wanted, man. He went out and he did his job, man. He did his job. So what else can we ask of that? And anybody didn't know the Lord God, he was willing to sit down and talk to him about that too. His faith in Christ. I would talk to Chris on the phone for hours, man, while Chris was at work sometime or going to work or whatever. He would talk to me for a long time. Mm-hmm. Not as long as Danny, but I would talk to Chris a good bit on the phone. But definitely gonna miss him, man. And it's hard to put into words. It's hard to put into words, what my true feelings about Chris. He really was a good friend, and me and Chris were talking last night, and I was always, I was like, man, I wish they was from Greenville, or I wish they lived in Spartanburg, somewhere really close, because I know I would have been around him as much as I was Danny. I'm pretty sure. Me and Chris were talking about that. That's how much I I really admire Chris a lot. But yeah, I definitely would have been around him a good bit, and like Chris said, I might have would have trained to be, trained to wrestle or whatever. Because he did say he could do that. Talking about that too. But I probably would have if I would have been around Chris as much as I wanted to be around him. But he's way out in North Carolina, not too far down. But I wasn't around. We wasn't close to where we could have been around each other a good bit. But he's one of these people that I respected so much and really wanted to be around. He was one of those guys, like I told you, Chris, that, like you said, bigger than life. One of those guys that when he came around, your mouth just opened up. And he was like, still, even after we got to know him and everything like that, I still had that wow factor about him. Anytime that around, and like you said, you go to the back, because you always would go to the back. I didn't immediately go to the back, and you tell me Thunder was there or whatever. You tell me he was there, and anytime you said Thunder, I wanted to go back there and see him and talk to him and all that. Like I said, man, he was one of those guys that was mesmerized me, just like the guys who I grew up watching on TV. Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling, even the World Wrestling Federation when it came around. Certain wrestlers, man, they just like you say, I guess you can use the word mark. They can make you a mark. They can make these people that admire them. Like I say, I've had the same thing in my life, and I'm sure Chris has too. Certain things. You can play football. Me as a musician, a rap artist. Me as a boxer, or me as a football player. When I play basketball, one of the top high school teams in the country. People who admired you and kind of admiration for you. But one thing about Chris, he was a humble, down to earth person, to where he was not trying to get that attention from anybody like that. He wasn't trying to get your attention and trying to make himself. He was not one of those people that say that was, how some people, they eat that up. They eat something like that up, and they think they bigger than everybody else. Chris was one of those people who was on the same level that you are. He was on your same level. He was not different, even though he was a wrestler. He was just like you when you met him. You have to have a persona. You have to be bigger than life. Anything that you do as far as athletic, sports or anything like that, you have to have the edge. He had that edge in the ring, but you get to know him. He was just like you, a person on that same level as you. But the amazing thing that I liked about Chris was this, like I say, when it boils down to it, he's a big gentle giant, but he was a big man, but he was a humble man. He was a humble servant of the Lord. He was a humble servant of people, man. He was there for people. He was a humble servant to his family. The Lord came first and then his family, but he lived life the way it's supposed to live, that you're supposed to live it. So I gotta, man, all I can say is, I have major admiration for him, and and any way that I going to, as far as going towards the funeral or whatever they need, we definitely here. We definitely will.
We're definitely here. Yeah.
I want it. Hope, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people are going to be helping out too. Wow. But yeah, Chris, that's about all I have, man. Anything else you want to say before we shut this thing?
That's pretty much all. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have, man. And like I said, just continuous prayers for his family, loved ones, especially his immediate family, his boys, Wissa, Missy, Dylan, definitely, man. Dylan and Luke, definitely continue prayers for them, man. And Chris Thunder Anderson, I'll say this in closing, man. This isn't goodbye. This is just I'll see you down the road, my friend.
Amen. And we will continue to celebrate his life moving forward. Definitely moving forward. We will continue to keep him right here in our hearts. And that's where he belongs. But we definitely not going to let anybody forget Chris Thunder Anderson. One of the top people, man, that we've met in this business. And hey, I told plenty of people, love AJ Styles, love Nick Fury, Curtis Coleman and all them, but Chris Thunder Anderson, when it came to this business, in my eyes, man, he was number one. But yeah. And I'm talking about overall as a person, as a wrestler, and a person. He was just number one in my heart, man, and in both our hearts. Like I said, he just one of these guys who should have been out there and in this business, and should have been big time. Should have been big time, especially him and his partner, man. Him and Cruiser Lewis, great. Those guys could have been anywhere. Him and Boom, it doesn't matter if it was him, Cruiser Lewis, Boomer Payne, and he had a partner years ago, man, that passed away. That was a great partner of his. But yeah, he's, like Chris said, one of the last of the Mohicans, and he pretty much trained and helped bring up some of the last of the Mohicans, people like Nick Fury, Chris James. Those guys, man, was just, they just a breed apart. They'll breed apart from everybody else. But yeah, definitely gonna miss Chris a lot. But yeah, we are definitely out of here, guys, and we just hope and pray that you just go ahead and do whatever you can to help the Childress family out as they go through this. And continue to pray for their family.
Definitely.
Pray for their family and share this. And we will talk to you guys a little bit later. Stay straight up.
Peace.